So this is the handover for the Bailey Autograph 794. We'll begin on the outside with some features of the cab. Fuel filler cap. The outer flap isn't affected by the central locking. You just use the ignition key, push it in, twist, and then release, and that allows you to fill up with diesel. Directly below that you have your AdBlue tank. There'll be an indicator that may well come on the dashboard indicating when that needs to be topped up. Just inside the cab door, at the end of the dashboard, you have your bonnet release. Below the cab floor, underneath this cover, is the positioning for your engine battery, and then the vehicle toolkit is located underneath the passenger seat. Just under the Peugeot badge, you'll find another lever. Pop that one up, bonnet stay into position, and then over on the left-hand side, you have your screen washer fluid. And then for servicing only, you've got your radiator, brake fluid and power steering fluids, oil filler cap, oil dipstick. And then because the engine battery is located underneath the seat, if you ever did need to jump start this vehicle, then use the end of the key to pop up this cover. Your positive lead goes onto the end of that paddle and the negative goes onto the bolt. Moving on to the offside of the vehicle, there are a number of features. So you will have a mains cable provided. This is connected via a cap. So push in on this side with the cap at about 90 degrees and push in, and then connect to the power supply on your campsite. Adjacent to that, you have your water filling system. So this kit is supplied with the van. All right. Typically you unroll it, has a fireman's hose type arrangement. Connect onto the side, make sure that the lid locks the cap into position so that when you turn your tap on, it pressurizes the hose and allows water to enter into the main onboard freshwater tank. Later on in the handover, we'll show you where the drain valve is for draining that tank off. Further along, you've got your toilet cassette. The flush water on this one comes from your onboard freshwater tank, so you don't have to worry about emptying and managing the cassette itself. Having made sure that the slider is shut properly inside, you should be able to lift up on the orange lever and slide the whole body of the cassette out completely. These have pull-out handles and wheels on, so you can transport the unit easily. For emptying, you need to remove the grey cap completely, tip the whole thing up, press this orange button at the top, and then that then allows the content of your waste to empty out. Before you load it back in, either a measuring cup of green chemical or a sachet of green, and mix that with about 2 litres of water so that you've got a little cocktail of solution, which is then ready to use and goes back in like so and locks back into position. Behind the skirt, just behind the rear wheel arch, you'll see the mud flap, and then you'll see this tap here, and that's the drain tap for the wastewater. So that's the wastewater from your shower tray, from your vanity unit, and from your kitchen sink. You have the exhaust port for the heating system, so if it's being operated on gas, make sure that that's not obstructed in any way, and then you can then expose and open up your lockers there. The previous owner left in a second set of carpets, which we'll pass on to you. In the garage section, you also have a detachable tow bar. Remove that centre plug, and it should then be able to be fitted straight in. This van comes fitted with a large Fiamma rollout awning, so hook through the eye and wind the awning out. These are designed as sunshades, and therefore in wet or windy conditions, they need to be put away. Wind it out to a midpoint where you can comfortably reach the inside of the pelmet. Pull the end of the leg outwards and then follow with your hand along and pull the leg down and let it pivot round in your fingers and then drop down to the ground and extend up. It's a similar operation for the other end. So pull out towards, let it drop down. To extend the awning out further, walk the legs out and be mindful of making sure you've allowed enough clearance for the door to open and close without fouling the framework. Your expectation is that these arms lock out dead straight. They always remain in a slight dog leg position, and you'll find that the material will go slack. To put it away, it's the reverse operation. So first of all, undo your leg winder, sit it in on the inside of the pelmet, and then squeeze in from the hinge so that it all locks into position. And the same at the other end. And then wind the whole awning back in. When you put the leg back, when you put the winding handle back into the locker, you'll notice above it there is another strut. It looks like one of the legs. That's a tension rafter for the middle of the awning when it's fully extended. Further along the body of the near side, here are two flaps. First one contains your external gas barbecue point. So there should be a fitting which should push into there, and you can then turn on and use gas from the onboard tank. And then adjacent to that, there's an external mains socket and an external aerial socket. In the gas locker, at the moment it's fitted a small 3.9. These could be upscaled to larger cylinders. When you turn the gas supply on, you'll notice that there's a crash sensor system fitted onto this one. So turn the gas on the top, squeeze this green tab in first of all, and I recommend using the end of the key, push in on this one, and that should reset the gas supply. Bump in the road might be sufficient to cause these to shut off. When you first come in, up above your caravan door, you've got your 12-volt control panel. Adjacent to that is the Audi heating system. We'll talk about that later on. Left-hand switch turns on the power. You'll see the words master on, and you'll see an indication there also that we are currently plugged into the main supply. The up and down arrows take you through a series of indicators showing you what condition and water battery levels that you have available, as well as temperature settings. There's a user access for making adjustments. Single switch for activating the water pump. If you are sleeping in the van overnight, or if you're leaving the van unattended during the day, then turn the pump off, all right, and press the button again to turn the pump on. There are master switch for the interior lights, as well as one for the outside awning light. Be underneath the bench seat behind the driver's seat, you will find your mains RCD box. You'll see that these blue switches are all in the on position. You can push them down to switch off the supply. They connect to individual units such as the fridge and the room heating system, as well as the battery charger. The battery charger on this one is built onto the back of that unit, and it's trickle charging your leisure battery all the time that you are connected. Directly below that, you've got a bank of 12-volt fuses for the internal operation of the van. So if you're finding any issues with certain groups of appliances perhaps not working, then it could be related to these. And then over inside the locker, right at the very, very back, is a little single rocker switch, and that turns on a immersion type switch for the water tank, just to prevent it from freezing up when you're using it in colder climates. When you lift up the floor in the living section, you'll notice another inspection hatch underneath it. Pull up on that one, and that's the location position for your leisure battery. It's possible to increase the number of batteries into there with additional wiring, or change the battery to a different style. The storage of the table, put the tabletop in first, top side down. Carefully position it between the two brackets, and then these brackets support the individual legs. These are unscrewed from the base, and then the top lid can come down above. In the wardrobe at the back, you've got the reservoir, the top reservoir for the Audi central heating system. There's a minimum and a maximum mark there. Make sure that the fluid is maintained. The more that it's used does tend to affect its consumption. You may find that you do have to top it up with Audi's recommended fluids for safe and even use. Below the floor, in this side of the bed, is another inspection hatch. When that panel is removed, you'll see the heating system. On the floor, you'll see a small yellow tab. If that yellow tab is lifted to the vertical position, it allows the content, the water content of the water heater to be drained out for winter storage. It's important that if the van's not being used for no matter how short a period, if it's in freezing conditions, then that yellow tab needs to be opened up so that the water heater can drain out, along with opening up your interior taps to drain the system off. On the opposite side of the bed, when you take up the carpet, there's a little bit of hidden storage which is in there, but obviously be careful about the cables and water pipes that are in there if you're loading in anything that's sharp. When you lift up the centre carpet between the bathroom and the bedroom, you'll see a couple of inspection hatches. The one at the back is the inspection hatch into the grey water, the wastewater tank. You can take this off, and if you need to use solvents or cleaners for sterilising or cleaning out, then they can be added in at that point, or check for blockages of the outlet pipe. Further back in front of the radiator for the heating system, you have got another inspection hatch, and below that one you'll see a black cap. You open up this one, and over to the right, as you put your hand in, you will find a small orange bung, and if you pull that bung out, that allows then the content of the fresh water tank to be drained out for storage, or again you can add in sterilisers or solutions for cleaning and cleansing out that system. Again, important for winter storage that the tanks are drained thoroughly. If you've drained the water system down, then you'll need to repurge it before you start using the water heater. So with the water pump selected and turned on, you should be able to come to your hot water tap and turn the water supply on. If there was any filling of the tank required, then you get aeration or spitting or surging. So wait until you have a continuous pressure coming through on the hot tap before you start to actually use the operating system on there. Repeat the process with the shower and with the vanity unit to ensure you've got that continuity of supply coming through. The Audi heating system control is very easy to use. So turn on the on switch on the left hand side. There's a little information screen which comes up first of all, and then you'll see a series of displays being shown. At the moment, because the van is cold, it's showing that the circulation pump is on here, that we're connected to the main supply, and that the room temperature that's been selected is 22 degrees centigrade. Pressing on the menu button and it takes you through a series of options that you can reach. Changing the room temperature within the van is done by using the plus and minus symbols. If you are wanting to select and use the hot water system, then if you press it once, you'll see a half triangle emerge, and that in conjunction with the room heating system will give you a supply of hot water. However, if you want to boost the hot water supply, press it again and you'll see the triangle emerge. That will suspend the room circulation aspect of the van, and it will focus on making the hot water and bring it up to around about 60 degrees centigrade. After that 20-minute interval, it returns back to being a room heating system. If you plugged in onto mains, then you have a choice of using electric or gas elements. For the main side, you have a choice of a 1, a 2 or a 3 kilowatt electric element. That's going to be subject to the amount of amperage that's available for you to use. They operate around about 4, 8 and 12 amps respectively. If you were wild camping, then you would only be able to use it on the gas. select that one, and it will engage a gas burner. Make sure that that exhaust vent on the outside of the van isn't obstructed. If you wanted to improve the heating time, doesn't bring the temperature up any higher or make the water any hotter, then you can combine both the gas and the electric on any desired setting to boost that system. Go into your settings menu and you can put in timers. You can prioritize on the gas or the electric systems, as well as putting nighttime settings in as well. To turn the system off, if you don't want to use it, press and hold in on the button for a couple of seconds and that will turn the whole system off. With your gas system, you've got your gas hob. The igniter for all of the cooker and the hob appliance is on the front. Choose the largest burner when you change over your gas bottle and purge the system through accordingly. Select your individual burners like so. If you're on mains hookup, you've got the option of using a mains electric element instead. However, there is no isolator on these lids, so make sure that this is cooled down fully, because if this is brought down over the flame, it doesn't shut it off and it's likely to explode the glass. It's a similar story for the oven and the grill. If you turn it anti-clockwise, you'll be able to operate the oven burner. And if you turn it clockwise, you'll be able to operate the grill. For your safety and comfort, you've got individual isolator taps for all of the gas appliances within the van underneath the cooker. At the moment, they're all in the on position. If they're rotated through 90 degrees, as the illustration shows, then it will shut the supplies off to those individual units. There's also a mains power socket at the back of the cupboard, and that's the main supply to the fridge. So if that's knocked or something's loaded in that might cause it, it will shut the fridge supply down. Your fridge is a three-way fridge. It's beneficial to the operation of the appliance that the van is as near level as possible, so use levelling wedges and a spirit level to give you guidance on that. When you're plugged in onto mains hookup, turn it to about the 1 o'clock position, showing the mains symbol, and the thicker the line, the cooler the fridge will become. When travelling from A to B, you cannot leave it connected to the main supply, so you'll then rely on using the engine battery and the alternator to maintain the temperature within the fridge. If you set off with a warm dry fridge, you won't get any kind of temperature drop in the duration of your journey. So make sure that the fridge is being cooled either by mains or by gas. When you're wild camping, turn it to the bottom position, and then it's a multi-stage activity. You need to push in on the thermostat, push in on the igniter, and then watch the little red needle hopefully rise up into the green zone, indicating that the gas supply is coming through to that appliance. There you see the needle rising up in. Keep your finger on the thermostat for a few seconds just to let the thermocouple stabilise. Slowly release it, and as long as the needle stays within the green zone, then that's the fridge operating on gas. The microwave is located above it. In the cupboard at the very, very top at the back, there is a power plug for that. This particular microwave has an additional standby function. So if the appliance hasn't been used for a period of time, you'll need to wake it up. So you press the eco button first of all. That will bring the appliance back into life, and then you can choose your minutes, seconds, and then press start to begin the process of the unit working. Turning our attention into the bathroom and the toilet, you have a swivel bowl toilet, so you can manoeuvre into desired positions. There's a grey lever which you would push around, and that opens up a wastegate inside. Let all of your waste go straight through. To flush the loo, there's a blue button behind the lid. Push in on that. It takes water from the main freshwater tank and pumps as much or as little as you require around the inside of the system. Close the lever over afterwards, and you'll get an indicator light coming on up here telling you when the cassette needs to be emptied. In the cab, you've got a host of controls. So starting on the driver's door, we've got individual controls for the electric windows, as well as for your electric mirrors. All 4 mirrors can be adjusted. So move the toggle into the position of the mirror that you want to move, and then you can control it from there. It's a permanent feed to the reversing camera. You can choose to isolate it and turn it off if you wish, if you find it distracting, perhaps if you were driving at night. Behind the steering wheel on the right hand side, you have headlamp beam adjustment, as well as your rear fog lamp switch. A mode button takes you access in for resetting menu controls, and then your wipers are controlled either down on intermittent or multiple settings on the up and down, as well as back for your screen wash. Steering wheel controls into the middle give you access to your head unit, and then light controls are on the left hand side of the stalk, along with your indicators and also main beam. Below that you have your cruise control and speed limiter, so turn the bezel for either your cruise or for the speed limiter on that side. Stereo controls, there is a button within the middle, and that will give you your systems for that, accept, and then you can then also access your navigation as well as your phone settings. Bezels for the speed of the fan on the lower side, along with your temperature control. If you're wanting to use the air conditioning, press the center button, select the right hand bezel to the recirculate, and then adjust the direction of airflow. Heated wing mirrors, as well as a central locking button for the cab, hazard light switch, a hill descent control, and a traction control system as well. USB sockets and 12-volt sockets for charging, as well as a USB input below the head unit, which feeds into the radio CD system. So that concludes the handover for your Bailey Autograph. Sincerely hope this van's going to give you lots of miles and lots of smiles. But on behalf of Highland Camper Vans, thank you very much for watching.